Origin Unexplained.
It's October. The leaves are turning, the nights are longer, and the air carries that quiet chill of whispers. There's something out there. This time of year, everyone's looking for haunted houses, ghost tours, or that next creepy documentary to binge. But maybe, just maybe, you want something real, something you can see yourself. So, if you're up for a drive, a hike, or just a glimpse into the unexplained, here are some places across the map where strange lights appear. No answers, no guarantees, just mystery. Welcome to Origin Unexplained. I am your host, Sue, and today we're going to hit a few different states that you may want to jump in your car and go out and visit during this creepy time of year. Let's start in North Carolina. In the heart of the Pisgah National Forest, near a stretch of land called the Brown Mountains, strange glowing orbs have been appearing for over 100 years. There are witnesses that describe them as white, orange, or blue lights. They're floating, darting, or flickering even up above the ridge. No one really knows what they are, but scientists have actually blamed swamp gas, headlights, or mirages, and none of it adds up. Then again, does it ever? Locals have said that the spirits of the Cherokee maidens are searching for their lost warriors. Others believe, actually, that the mountain itself holds some sort of kind of energy. We don't know. It's something we don't quite understand. Whatever the cause, people still gather at overlooks, like Wise Men's View, to watch a glimpse, and sometimes the lights show up. So now we are going to move to my state, which we're going to Rochester, New York, to Lake Minnewaska. In the upper reaches of the Shawangunk Mountains, just beyond the steep cliffs and quiet trails, sits Lake Minnewaska, a place known more for its scenic views than its secrets. But as night falls, those secrets begin to stir. Strange lights have been reported up there. They glide over the lake's surface. They're soft blue glows that appear out of nowhere, and then they hold still in the dark, and then they vanish without a trace. Sometimes they'll drift into the trees, other times they hover near the cliffs, and some even say that they move with purpose, kind of like they're watching. The stories aren't new, and for decades, hikers and campers have whispered about these lights. A few claim that they followed them, only to end up turned around and lost in place they thought they knew. Weird. There are no towns nearby, no obvious light sources, and no consistent explanation ever. Locals talk about the quartz running deep through the bedrock, like the stone itself is charged, which we all know that they are charged. Others blame spirits or even portals, maybe even thin spots in the world where something else like bleeds through. That could possibly be an answer. I don't know. Whatever the cause, Lake Minnewaska has earned its place on the map of unexplained. And if you ever find yourself near the water after dark, don't just look at the view. Look for what's looking back. Now we're going to turn over and go into my neck of the woods in central New York. And I will have an upcoming podcast just dedicated to this place alone. And that is Beardsley Castle in Little Falls, New York. Right on the edge of St. Johnsville and Little Falls. There's a castle tucked into the woods of upstate New York, just outside the small town of Little Falls. It's not the kind of castle you'd expect in Europe, but Beardsley Castle has its own legacy, and it was not based on being built on royalty, but built on death. The original structure burned down in the early 1900s. The rebuilt version is still standing today, and it's been a restaurant, a gathering place, and most famously, one of the most haunted sites in our region here. There are cold spots that appear without warning, and there's voices in empty rooms, and there's shadows that seem to walk just ahead of you, before vanishing around corners that lead nowhere. But the one figure people keep seeing is the one that doesn't go away. It is the man with the lantern. He's most often seen near the lower halls or just outside of the castle, on foggy nights especially. Witnesses describe an old-fashioned oil lantern, like glowing dimly, swinging at his side as he walks silently through that mist. He has no face, no features. You just see a dull light in the sense that if you follow it, you'll end up somewhere you were never meant to be. Some say he was a caretaker. Others believe that he was part of the original staff when the first structure actually burned. Someone trapped in the flames, and I have actually gotten a picture of somebody in flames before there. And now condemned, to wander the grounds, searching for a way out. His lantern flickers like it's burning out, but it actually never does. If you don't need to believe in ghosts to feel something at Beardsley Castle, just stand outside at night. You'll know if he's nearby. You'll feel it before you see him. And if you do see the swinging lantern on the road, I'd suggest get out quickly. So now we are going to head to southeast Kansas, and it's right near the Oklahoma border. So down in the far corner of southeast Kansas, not far from the Oklahoma line, there's a quiet stretch of gravel road known as the Devil's Promenade. It cuts through the countryside near Baxter Springs, which is surrounded by thick trees and fields that go silent when the sun goes down. And that's when the lights appear. Locals call it the spook light, a single glowing orb that floats low to the ground. It's kind of orange, red, sometimes white. It moves without warning, slipping between the trees and hovering above the road, or vanishing just when you think you've got it in your sights. Some say it follows cars. Others say it waits just out of reach, daring you to chase it. This is not a new story. People have seen the light for well over 100 years. Cowboys, settlers, and families often have parked along that road. Some say it's the spirit of a murdered traveler. Others claim that it's lingering energy of something older and something tied to the land itself. Scientists, once again, have come out to test it. They've blamed headlights and atmosphere, but nothing sticks as usual. There are no hills to reflect light, no houses nearby, and no reason the same glowing orb would keep showing up year after year in the exact same spot. So, if you head to Devil's Promenade on a still dark night, don't expect a show. The spook light doesn't care what you want. But if you're lucky or unlucky, you might catch the glowing rising from the trees. And when you do, just know it sees you first. So now we are heading up into the New England States territory. So we'll start with Connecticut and finish with New Hampshire. So there are places in New England where the land feels heavy, like it kind of remembers something. You don't always see it on the surface, just trees, rocks, winding roads, but the deeper you go, the more the quiet starts to feel unnatural. Not peaceful, just waiting. Let's start in Connecticut, just outside the town of Haddam, at a place they call Devil's Hop Yard. The name alone, it warns you off, but people still go. It's a state park now, full of hiking trails and waterfalls. But long before that, it had a reputation. Strange sounds echo through the woods. Eerie lights flicker deep in the trees. And near Chapman Falls, some say you can hear footsteps behind you on the trails that you walked alone. The stories go back hundreds of years. One says a man made a deal with the devil right there in the woods, offering his soul in exchange for knowledge. Or something worse. Another claims The circular marks on the rocks by the falls were left by Satan himself, stamping his hoofs in anger when a preacher tried to drive him out. But it's not just legend. People have actually felt watched. Others have gone off trail and turned around only to find the path they were on is gone, swallowed up like it never existed. The Devil's Hop Yard doesn't care if you believe in it. It only cares that you came. So now let's head north into the heart of Ladies in Boots in the White Mountains, where the weather turns without warning and the trees grow darker the higher you climb. At the base of Mount Washington, the auto road looks harmless enough, with a steep drive and a tourist shop, and the mountain doesn't always let you leave the same way that you kind of came in. So the weirdness with it is the weather changes. I mean, it really drastically changes. Winds over 200 miles per hour all of a sudden kick in, and then there's sudden fog, and temperatures can drop 60 degrees in minutes. And within that chaos, people have reported voices in the mist, shadow figures standing along the ridgeline, even glowing lights moving against the wind, flickering through the fog. And the fog is thick, and then disappearing before anyone can explain them. Hikers have gone missing, rescue teams have chased screams that led nowhere, and some say the mountain has its own rules. When you're up there, especially alone, you need to ask permission to leave. So there are accounts of hikers and drivers hearing the voices in the thick mist, sometimes distant shouting and sometimes quiet whispers with no source. And again, some search and rescue teams have followed cries for help that led absolutely nowhere. When they arrived in person, there was no person, just silence. Let's talk about the shadow figures near the summit. Now, people have reported seeing like dark figures standing still near rock formations or along ridge lines, especially at dusk or in the dense fog. They don't move and they don't speak, and vanish when approached. So some believe that it's possibly pareidolia from exhaustion, or weather tricks, but others aren't so sure about that. What about the flickering lights? There are rare but repeated reports of lights moving along the mountain, glowing orbs or flickers that seem to pulse against the wind. Unlike headlamps or flashlights, these lights don't bounce or behave like a person that is holding them. They float sometimes just ahead of the travelers and then disappear. And what about vehicle struggles and mechanical failures? Some drivers have claimed that their cars behave oddly, stalling, losing power, or having sudden electrical glitches, especially near certain bends or while descending. Park rangers, well, they blame the steep grade and weather, but others feel like something doesn't want them there. So now we're going to discuss the orientation, or disorientation, should I say, in lost time. A few people report getting disoriented on Auto Road, especially in the fog, and taking longer than they should to reach the summit or the base. Some have even described losing track of time, unsure of how they got from one point to another. So with that being said, I mean, let's face it, guys. Some lights guide the way. Others wait in the dark. You've heard the stories. You've traced the roads. You've followed the glow from the Carolina Mountains to the cold summit of New Hampshire. But remember, just because you see the light doesn't mean you're meant to follow it. Not all paths lead home. Some lead straight into the unknown. And this is another podcast from Origin Unexplained. If you'd like to have your story told, or if you have a story and you want to jump on with us, email us at originunexplained, and that's UNX, no E there, PLAINED, at gmail.com.
Origin Unexplained.